Nick Ridgewire back for the 10th inning, giving you another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw the great Gale Sayers of the Chicago Bears go for 6 touchdowns against the San Francisco 49ers in a 61-20 victory for the Bears. We don't have anything quite like that today, but we do have some Ballon d'Ors to talk about, we have some Australian Opens to get into, and some more Heismans to talk about. So if y'all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. This Day in Sports History. Started out today in Major League Baseball in 1930, and the 15-year career of George Sisler would officially end as the Boston Braves would release him. Sisler would be one of the first to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, as he would be enshrined in 1939. 1 year later in 1931 in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers would win their third straight title with a 12-2 record on the season. Stay with the Packers in 1936, and the Packers would end up defeating the Boston Redskins 21-6 to win their fourth title. 6 years later in 1942, stay in the NFL, and after the Redskins lost in Boston, they moved down to Washington, D.C. This time, they would get the victory. The Washington Redskins would end up defeating the Chicago Bears 14-6. Over to Major League Baseball in 1956, and the Dodgers would end up trading Jackie Robinson to the Giants for pitcher Dick Littlefield and $35,000, but according to some accounts though, Robinson had already decided to leave the game and this was just the final straw, so he would actually end up publicly retiring from baseball rather than accepting the trade. 4 years later in 1960 in the international world of football, Barcelona midfielder Luis Suarez would win the Ballon d'Or ahead of runners-up Ferenc Puskás and Uwe Seeler. Over to the Davis Cup now in 1981, and the USA would defeat Argentina 3-1 to win their 27th of 32 Davis Cup titles. 1 year later, we stay at tennis, go to the singles side though at the Australian Open, this time on the men's side, Johan Kriek would win his second Australian title, repeating his previous year's win over Steve Denton 6-3, 6-3, 6-2 in straight sets. This would be his second and final Grand Slam singles title. Getting to our first Heisman of the day in 1997, and Charles Woodson, cornerback out of the University of Michigan, would win, and Woodson would be the only player to play significant minutes on both sides of the ball to win since 1960. Woodson on the season would have 1 punt return for a touchdown, 231 receiving yards offensively, 2 touchdowns receiving, 1 rushing touchdowns, then on the defensive side, add 7 interceptions. Woodson would end up winning with 1,815 points to second place's 1,543. 1 year later, moved to golf in 1998, and at the President's Cup, the international team would win for the first time over the United States with a 20.5 to 11.5 victory. Over to the NBA now in 2000, and John Stockton would collect his 14,000th career assist. When Stockton got the assist, he increased his lead over the number 2 man, Magic Johnson, by 3,859 assists. Back to college football now in 2002, at the Heisman, Carson Palmer, quarterback out of USC, would win with 3,942 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Palmer ended up getting 1,328 points in the vote to second place's 1,095 points. Our final Ballon d'Or for the day in 2004, Milan striker Andriy Shevchenko would win the award over Barcelona midfielder Ronaldinho. Over to Major League Baseball in 2007 now, and the Mitchell Report would officially be released, naming 89 players as having used or been in possession of steroids. Among the notable names, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte, Miguel Tejada, and Jason Giambi. Back to the Heisman now in 2008, and quarterback Sam Bradford out of Oklahoma would win, and on the season, 4,720 yards, 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Bradford would end up getting 1,726 points to second place's 1,604. Back to Major League Baseball now in 2012, and we have a free agent signing by the Los Angeles Angels, as they would sign the 2010 American League MVP Josh Hamilton to a 5-year contract for $125 million. Back to the Heisman, and the final Heisman of the day in 2014, quarterback Marcus Mariota out of Oregon would win, and on the season, Mariota, 4,454 yards, 42 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Mariota would end up collecting 2,534 points to second place's 1,250. 3 years later, back to Major League Baseball, the Miami Marlins would be having yet another fire sale, this time as they would send outfielder Marcell Ozuna to the Cardinals for pitcher Sandy Alcantara and 3 other prospects. We will end today's video off in 2018 in the NBA, and Dirk Nowitzki would take the court for his record 21st NBA season with the Dallas Mavericks, surpassing Kobe Bryant's 20 seasons with the same team for the most all time. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize, but I'll see everybody tomorrow. For Nick Dwyer and the 10th inning.